For some children, the home is not a sanctuary of emotion, but a courtroom of stoicism. You were taught very early that tears were a form of weakness, a nuisance, or even a betrayal of the family's strength. You learned that to be good was to be silent. You didn't process your pain, you buried it. But as the years pass, that buried grief doesn't disappear. It petrifies. It becomes the stone architecture of your personality. You aren't strong because you don't cry. You are paralyzed because you never learned how to feel. In Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast and Slow, System 1 is the domain of raw, fast emotion. It is where a child's natural impulse to cry lives. But in a household that forbids tears, the child is forced to use System 2, the effortful, calculating part of the brain, to manually override their biological instincts. This creates a life of extreme cognitive strain. You are constantly monitoring yourself, filtering every impulse before it reaches the surface. As an adult, you find it impossible to be spontaneous because your System 2 is always on guard, acting as a border patrol for your heart. You aren't calm. You are exhausted by the effort of containing yourself. Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power teaches that concealment is a tool of dominance. But for the child who wasn't allowed to cry, this became a survival mechanism. You learned Law 3 and Law 4, always say less than necessary, not to gain power over others, but to prevent others from having power over you. You believe that if people see your tears, they see your intentions, your needs, and your hurts. To you, vulnerability is the ultimate tactical error. This makes your relationships shallow. You are a sphinx, appearing sphinx-like and controlled, but your mystery is actually a fortress built to hide a child who is still waiting for permission to grieve. James Clear's Atomic Habits explains that our habits are a reflection of our identity. For you, the habit of not crying became the core of who you are. Your habit loop was reinforced by the only reward available: parental approval. 1. Emotional pain. 2. Avoidance of shame. 3. Swallowing the lump in your throat. 4. Being called mature or tough. You have progressively layered this habit until it became your skin. You don't know how to cry now because your identity depends on the performance of strength. As Tony Robbins notes in Awaken the Giant Within, you aren't sharing your true feelings. You are always performing. Healing begins when you realize that tears are not a lack of control, but a biological release valve. Jordan Peterson notes that neglect and mistreatment in childhood can cause deep unconscious guilt and anxiety. Your strength isn't found in your ability to be a stone, but in your courage to be human. You don't need to man up or be tough anymore. The war is over. The first step to reclaiming your soul is letting the dam break and realizing that the water won't drown you. It will finally wash you clean. If you were the child who was never allowed to cry and now feel like a stranger to your own emotions, hit the like button. Drop a comment. When was the last time you allowed yourself to truly feel? Let's reclaim our humanity together. Subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching.